Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to tell you why you suck at box fighting. I apologize for the aggressive title, and I know not all of you suck at box fighting, but I do know a ton of you are struggling with it. Therefore, to help everyone out, I wanted to talk about different things pro players do that you don't to consistently win box fights. I made a video kinda similar to this a month or two ago, but let's face it, Fortnite is boring as hell at the moment. There's been absolutely no new updates, which means the only fun things to do are to compete and to play in wagers. So why not learn to get better at both by improving at the more conceptual and analytical part of box fighting, which we will do in this video. With that being said, let's start with one of the most advanced and useful aspects of box fighting that I can guarantee you guys do not know about: piece control. If I had to describe what piece control is, it's basically the process of establishing builds before your enemy does. The most basic example would be in this clip from Unknown Army, where he builds a wall next to his opponent mid-box fight. This effectively blocks off his opponent's only escape route and allows him to take control of the engagement. Another example of piece control can be seen in this clip from MSF Clicks as he's hunting down his enemy. Clicks builds a wall through his opponent's ramp, which then leaves the guy with no way to defend himself after Clicks breaks through it. Now, these may seem pretty obvious when you watch them back, but they are things most of you guys overlook and do not do yourself. You'll be so focused on getting the kill and pressuring your opponent that you forget to establish open build pieces, and in turn are never able to lock down your opponent. The ironic thing about that is that piece control will actually help you win box fights quicker. Have you ever wondered why Benji Fishy never seems to get third-partied while W King and Cash Cups? Well, it's because of how elite his piece control is. In every fight, he's always doing tiny things like coning off his opponent's head or building floors to block them in. If he did not do that and forgot to prioritize piece control over immediately pressuring his opponent, then he would be like the rest of us, chasing down people for 20 minutes. Alright, but how do we become better at piece control? This is the problem I have, because while I understand these topics, they're really not that easy to implement into your own gameplay. One of the biggest things that's helped me out was thinking ahead and about what my enemy was going to do next. A great example of this would be what we just saw in that clip from Young Calc. As he tries to take the wall, Calc sees his opponent edit out to his right. In response, Calc immediately builds a cone and floor on top of his opponent and then edits through to clean up an easy kill, since his opponent had no way to protect himself. So not only do you have to anticipate your opponent's position, aka think ahead, but you also need to know what builds to place to create an opportunity for a kill. Then the other thing I've been trying to get down is to change my mindset to build first, shoot second. Obviously, this does not apply to every box fight, as a lot of the time it is better to go for the shot right away. However, if your opponent is slippery and trying to get away from you, then follow what I said and build first, shoot second. In this beautiful clip from Benji again, we see him floor his opponent off from jumping and get the elimination. Had he done what I know I would, which is make the edit and shoot, then his opponent would have jumped up and out of the box he was in. Benji knew he would do that by thinking ahead and utilize piece control to prevent his opponent from escaping. The next reason you suck at box fights is that you don't know the correct way to wall replace. By that, I don't mean taking the wall itself, because that's pretty straightforward. I'm talking about what you do after that to kill the person inside. The typical way is this: first, you take the wall. Second, you take out your shotgun so you're not on your pickaxe after you edit. Third, you make the edit. And fourth, place the ramp or cone with your shotgun out. There's honestly nothing wrong with doing it this way, but by switching around one of these steps, you can actually make your box fighting more effective. So the better way is first, do the same thing and take the wall. Then second, make the edit while still holding out your blueprint. This is much different than before, because at the other part, you switch to your gun at this step. Anyways, after that, place the cone or ramp, and finally finish by taking out your shotgun. This updated technique lets you end up placing the cone or ramp faster than you did before, even though the entire move still takes the same amount of steps. You're essentially just moving up the part where you place the cone or ramp. At full speed, you can see it looks different since you make the edit with your blueprint out rather than your shotgun. Yes, it's a very small and subtle difference, but because because of it, you end up giving your opponent less time to build their own cone or ramp and to protect themselves after you steal their wall. This means you'll be more likely to get your own build in before them and secure the kill. Now, the way I discovered this was by watching pros like Unknown Army, Clicks, and Ronaldo, who just recently started to utilize this technique a ton. Pretty much every time they're box fighting or taking a wall, this is the way they do it. They no longer swap to their gun and then make the edit, rather they've trained themselves to edit with their blueprint out and not their shotgun or pickaxe. By the way, this trick will take some getting used to. We've all been wall replacing the unoptimal way for months, so it will feel weird to make the edit with your blueprint out and wait to pull out your shotgun. Regardless, the last thing I wanted to add in regarding this trick is that it actually helps you obtain piece control. By placing a cone in your opponent's box after you yoink their wall, they can't place a ramp or cone of their own. That's quite literally a textbook example of what piece control is. So if you're looking for little things to help you master the art of piece control, learning this new editing technique is one of them. Moving on, another reason you're butt cheeks in box fights is that you don't adapt your playstyle to different situations. One example that I kinda just touched upon would be what specific build you place after you take someone's wall. I can almost guarantee 90% of you guys do the same exact move every single time. Either a mongrel classic or a right hand peek or some combination of them both. Whatever it may be, the problem is that you're only using that one technique. You're never switching it up or changing it around depending on your opponent's playstyle, how much health you have, what loadout you're rocking, or anything like that. It's the same move time and time again. Outside of that making your gameplay really predictable, it also makes it impossible for you to win certain box fights. The main reason pros like Unknown Army and Kanata win so many box fights of their own is that they know when certain moves will work and when certain moves will not. If I could, I would tell you guys which moves work and when, but the unfortunate thing is that I can't really tell you how to play out each and every unique fight. That's what makes Fortnite so fun and addicting. Every fight you get into is completely different than the last one and therefore should not be played out the same way. What I can do is give you pointers and help you understand how to make these decisions on your own. So going back to the cone versus ramp debate after you replace a wall, the main difference is that you have to edit the ramp to get a shot off, while you do not have to do that with the cone. This makes the cone a better option if you want the fight to be over fast, and the ramp a better option if you want to play it safe. Another example would be deciding between dropping down to wall replace or replacing builds from the top of their 1x1. As I've been trying to get across, you don't always need to do one or the other. Going from the top is better than the side in some situations, and in other situations, the opposite is true. Take for example, when your opponent is really low and you need to get the kill. In that situation, just spray and W key from the side, while if your opponent is looking to make an edit and has a trap, the last thing you want to do is be in front of their wall or come down on a ramp. All in all, please do not use the same technique or trick for every single box fight. The best way to consistently win them is to simply adapt and change your own playstyle up. The final reason you struggle in box fights is that you're like me and you forget to make use of your utility. Side note, this does not really apply to creative box fights since you only get 2 weapons. In real games though, whether you have a harpoon gun, a sniper, or a trap, you most likely never take advantage of it. You instead tunnel vision and only think about replacing walls or holding out a shotgun. Wavy Jacob, who if you guys remember, won 2 cash cups this season, is one of the best box fighters because of how well he employs his utility. Whenever he gets his hand on an RPG, he always uses it to chunk his opponents or kill them before the box fight even starts. On top of that, by hitting them with a pump after he breaks their base with an RPG, he makes his opponents afraid of them and makes himself more confident that he'll win the box fight. That is an extremely underrated part of box fighting that is really obvious when you think about it. Of course, a player is going to mess up more and be more nervous when they have less health or shield. And what's the easiest way to put them in that position? Hit them with a fat pump after you RPG their base. Nobody in the world can out turbo build your bullets to protect themselves, so it's literally a guaranteed 50 to 60 damage. All you gotta do is look at your inventory and remember to make use of any utility, like an RPG, that you have. have. Overall, guys, those are the main reasons you suck at box fighting. You're either oblivious to piece control, wall replacing the wrong way, using the same moves every box fight, or forgetting about your utility. So if this video helped you out or you learned something new, then do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on my notifications. Shout out to everyone using code JERIAN. I appreciate all of you guys and cannot thank you enough for 500k. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.